I built an escape room within SharePoint, and it is definitely my most creative and ambitious project to date. So this project really has it all. We've got UI and UX design, we've got Power Automate workflows, we've got security groups, we've got audience targeting. We threw the kitchen sink at this one. By the end of the video, you're gonna understand what I did and how I did it. So the background behind this, because not everyone just goes out and decides to create an escape room within SharePoint, it's kind of twofold. One is that this is an idea I've had floating around in my head for quite a while. And it's really all about user engagement and adoption. So in a lot of the projects I work on, when we're gonna launch an intranet or, launch 365 to a company or organization, we always have those conversations around how can we generate some buzz and excitement and get people into the tools, exploring them. And I think this is a perfect fit for that. Secondly, well, Microsoft are hosting their SharePoint Hackathon 2025 at the moment, which is essentially a competition where they want people to submit projects. And the projects can be in one of 4 categories, which is portals, SPFX, SharePoint agents, and Viva connections. So me being me, if you know anything about this channel, you know that the portal one would be ideal. So that's the category I chose, and that's what this project was for. So there's the 2 reasons. So to enter the hackathon, you had to submit a video which outlines your project, walks through it, shows how it works, how you built that kind of thing. So this video is actually a little bit meta in that it's a video inside the video. So I'm going to share with you the video I submitted as my hackathon entry. Now, of course, I couldn't make the entry video too long, not like my normal marathon videos. So I don't know, if you're interested in this kind of thing and you want to see the exact step-by-step detail and how I built this, all the Power Automate flows, all of the UIs, the screens, the designs, let me know in the comments below. More than happy to do it, but I don't want to bore you. So this video now is kind of like the guinea pig. If you're interested in this kind of thing, I will put out a longer video on it. So just a quick word from our sponsors and then we'll get straight to it. This video is sponsored by me and Academy 365, which is a site where I have a number of courses that will take you from zero to absolute SharePoint hero. These courses are structured to guide you step by step on how to deliver the most common intranet requirements I see day in and day out. Whether you're building a new intranet site or indeed need to uplift and revitalize an existing site, these courses are for you. And the best thing is you don't have to be a techie to take them, right? These courses have been carefully designed so they're accessible to anybody with any level of experience within SharePoint. We have the SharePoint Site Builder Masterclass version 2, which is an updated version of my original flagship course. This course guides you on how to create a typical intranet department site step by step, jam-packed with the most common requirements I see from real-world experience. We also have the SharePoint Training and Education Platform Site course, which will show you how to create amazing educational experiences within SharePoint. Both courses are laser focused on end user experience, so you'll be able to wow your users, your colleagues, and even your bosses. If you're interested, there's a link below along with a tasty discount. Now back to the video. My idea is around the concept of creating a game within SharePoint, something that people can get stuck into and really test their wit and problem solving ability. So along those lines, I came up with the idea for an escape room experience. So that's what I've built. So at a high level, basically what it is, it's a bunch of SharePoint sites that work together to provide this experience. So we have a landing site. This would be effectively your portal homepage. And this is where we tell people all about what the challenge is. We let them know how they can enter it, what the rules are and how it works. And then we have a series of sites, so 3 sites with each site representing a level in this game. Each site has its own team, its own identity, and basically contains a puzzle that must be solved. So I've also used Power Automate, security groups and things like that to pull it together. So you have to complete one level to get to the next level. Now I'll walk you through the process in a second, but that's essentially it. So people can, begin the game. We have a leaderboard where your time is tracked throughout it and it's monitoring you as you progress through the level. So it's a really nice concept. I'm biased, but I think it is. Anyway, so let's have a look at the landing portal site. Now, this is obviously using as much of the new SharePoint UI functionality as I could fit into it. So flexible sections all over the place, branding, all that good stuff is happening. So if we come over here and have a look, this is my landing page for my game. Okay, now I've called it the Great Escape 2025 and created various things. So basically people come here, they see that we have a game, we have a challenge, we get them excited with some numbers. We come down here, we call out some of the key points, challenge progression, speed matters, live ranking, and a final results ceremony to top it all off. Then we give people an idea of how it works. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, again, all of this is using flexible sections, but I'll go into a bit more detail of how I built it. Just want to give you a flavor for it first. So that's about the game and how it works. And then we come into the levels where we explain or tease them a little bit. So we come down in here, we have the Great Escape levels. Level 1 happens to be the Amazon or an Inca themed site where we have a puzzle, you know, along those lines where we want people to solve. So that's going to be the start of the challenge. So we have begin challenge. Then we come down, when you finish level 1, you get access to level 2, which is the Timewarp, which is, I don't know, a time inspired level where again, there's another puzzle to be solved. You solve that puzzle, you move on to the final level, which is level 3, the Frontier, which is a space or alien, I suppose, inspired theme. And again, you'll get access to it. But a really cool thing about this is you won't have access to it until you've completed the previous level. That's all managed through security groups, audience targeting, and of course Power Automate to pull it all together. So they're the levels, okay, and I'm going to show you them all now in a minute, but ultimately that's what we're doing. We're asking people to take part, start at the starting point, get to the end point, and do it as quick as you can. So if we look at the leaderboard, now this is the thing I probably did last in the whole thing, so it could definitely use a bit of sprucing up, but effectively the idea or the concept is everybody who enters is added to a list on this site, and their entry, their row or their item in the list gets updated by Power Automate after every submission. Zoom in a bit so you can see it. So we see in here that Dan Carroll and Tony Stark have been doing this. So basically when Dan starts the game, we track him through this leaderboard progression. So we could see level 1, level 2, and level 3. And then we're adding the time it takes to complete every level till we get a total time at the end. So in this case, I was super quick and I finished it in 4 minutes and 47 seconds. But Tony, on the other hand, well, he's still working on level 2. He's not got to level 3. Great thing about this leaderboard is it updates itself through Power Automate, and it'll be sorted in terms of the total time. So you'll get a real-time view of how people are going through the game. I think this is really nice. I think some nice JSON formatting on this list would take it to the next level. So in a future iteration, I will absolutely do that. So that's our leaderboard, okay? People can track that and it's pretty cool. So let's have a quick look at the different levels and I'll explain how they work. And then at the end of this, I'll go through some of the call out features that I've been able to use through the UI functionality within SharePoint to show you how I did certain things. So if we look at level 1, the Amazon, and this level is governed by, I don't know, an Inca king, and he has a clue in here, which he's giving us. Very kind of him. And basically when people come in here, they see the clue, they see this and they wonder, well, what the hell is this? But that's the point, right? It's a puzzle. It needs to be solved. And I don't think I'm going to tell you the answer to this one. Okay, I'll tell you the answer to another one, but not this one. I don't want to give all the spoilers away, but we have a clue, we have a puzzle, and then we ask people to submit your code. Okay, so at the end of every level, there's a submit your code. And really, again, what that is doing is this button links off to a form attached to a list on our home site. So level 1 submission. So basically people can enter in whatever you want them to enter in, but the most important thing is they enter in the code. They enter in the code, we kick off some workflows, which I'll show you in a minute, and that progresses the game. So ultimately that's the format of how this works. So let's assume you've completed level 1, you've submitted your code, we do our workflow stuff in the background, and then you are informed that you got it correct, and now you can safely progress to the next level. The next level then, of course, is the Timewarp. So you get access to this level. We have a new villain, I suppose, and he has another puzzle which he wants you to solve through his clue. So here's the clue here, and we come down here, and this is what we give people. So you're going to look through this, scratch your head for a while, try figure it out, and then you're going to submit your code. Okay, again, we'll do our workflows, and eventually you'll progress to level 3, which looks something like this. So this is the Frontier. So here you've landed on a planet. There's, you know, a bad guy alien here who wants to do mean things to you. So you've got to try and escape. So we have a clue in here, and then we come down the page, we have more of the puzzle here, and then we have the puzzle in here. So I'll tell you what this one is and how to solve it. So the clue is, from blazing heat to icy cold, their ancient path is long and old. Follow the line from near to far and find your answer among the stars. Okay, kind of cryptic. But then we have the puzzle part down here. So basically what this is, I just threw in a load of random words here, but hidden between all the words is actually a SharePoint list which filters this second list of planets. So dynamic filtering is what I'm using here. So this is just a list with basically images and a title and a little bit of JSON formatting to bring it like this. But basically what the clue is trying to tell you to do is order the planets, as in from our solar system from the sun heading out. So if you spend enough time looking at this and scratching your head, you'll start to notice that some of these items in here are actually list items. So for example, I can see peanuts in here. If I click that, it filters the list. Now you might think, geez, I'm onto something here. But you know, if you don't follow the clue, you won't understand that this is just the wrong order. It's not the order of our planets of the solar system. So if you did unicorn, you get a similar result. You get a filter, but you don't get the right planets. But what you have to do is you got to click Maslow, the hierarchy of needs, which would be important if you're colonizing or landing on a planet, I suppose. And that's going to give you the planets in our solar system in the correct order, which happens to be the code word. So then all you have to do is enter in the code word in the form. That'll submit it and our workflow will do its thing. You'll eventually have completed the challenge and your time taken to solve the whole thing will be stored. So all of the puzzles have a similar kind of theme. You have to kind of crack things together to come up with a word. So effectively, that's what the end user kind of experience is of this and how it works. I'll show you what the process flow behind it and I suppose some of the innovation that pulls it together and actually makes it a game. So if we see here, this is the process flow for how it works, so I can talk you through it really quick. So basically you're going to start, you're going to come to the Great Escape site and click Begin Challenge, which we saw. You're going to land on the SharePoint Level 1 site. You're going to work out the puzzle, get the code. You'll submit your code. When you do, that goes onto a list on our home site, which is our level 1 submissions. And because we've added an item onto that list, that acts as a trigger for Power Automate. So we kick off our level 1 Power Automate flow. And basically what that's going to do is, well, first thing, it's going to evaluate your answer based on a condition. If you get it wrong, we're going to send you an email and send you a Teams chat message just to make sure we reach it. And we're going to say, sorry, not the right answer. Please try again. And we'll link them back into the site and they can go again. However, if they get it right, we add that user to our leaderboard list on our site. We add them to a security group, which is what we're using for audience targeting for links and things like that. And I'll give you an example now in a second of where that comes to life in the site. But security groups are very important for us in audience targeting to bring this all to life and lock things away. So you get added to that group, which effectively unlocks level 2 to you, gives you access to it. And then we send you an email and a Teams chat basically to say, you're a genius, congratulations, now move on to the next level. So that's the kind of format. And we just repeat that across the levels. So you get to level 2, you submit your code, we evaluate it. If you get it right, we're going to progress you to the next level, add you to another security group. If you get it wrong, well, you know, tough luck, try again. You get into level 3 and we do the same thing again. We're updating the leaderboard every time. And then when we get to the end, the correct answer, you get a total time on your leaderboard populated. Simple as that, right? So we've looked at the user experience that we've created. We've looked at the mechanics that sit behind it, that pull it all together. So the process of the game. Now we'll just look at some of the sites and look at some of the cool stuff that we've done through flexible sections and other things like that. If we look at the home site, right, and I put it into edit mode, you'll see how I've actually strung this together, okay? We come in here, we have a text web part, image web part. Buttons in here, they're actually images that I put into place, but they came in nice and sharp, which was good. It's actually a handy thing that I've done in that I use Figma quite a lot. In Figma, as you can see here, I've created this template which matches the column layout of a flexible section. I've created all to the right size so that when I have text in here and it's a size 18 font, that matches how it would look on the site at 18 font. And that means when I create buttons, it's obviously a previous version, but when I create these buttons, I can create them at the right size text, so they'll blend in nicely. I just export them at a bigger size so that they come in very crisp, particularly with text that's important. So this template here has just been, you know, phenomenal in terms of helping me design something, getting it into SharePoint, and what I see is what I get type of thing. Basically, that's how the buttons work here. One thing I figured out, you of course already know it, is that for images, when I have an image in here and I just want it to be a nice little piece of eye candy, in the settings, I'll always mark it as decorative. Means people don't click it. It doesn't fly up in a big light box or anything like that. So all my images, bar obviously the things I want to be clickable, I mark as decorative, and it kind of saves me in that respect. Coming down here, well, when the page is published, this all seems like one section where magically have another section overlapping onto it. But in reality, what I did was I created another section here, still a flexible layout, added a background to it, which matches the top background, also has a white strip going along the bottom. And that means I can add in this white background image in here, but looks like it's kind of overlapping the previous section, which works nice. And then we have just the text web part in here, basically. Coming down the page here, this is just a text web part that I've used an image inside. That helps with the responsiveness. So that's what we have in there. It's nice that we can now have 4 kind of distinct items in a row, whereas before we only had the 3 column. Now we can, nuts with it, which is great. So we have that in there. How it works section, well, it's very similar to the top section. I've just squeezed more items in here, using different font colors to really bring the branding forward within it. In here, this is just a text web part. I use emojis, as you could probably guess, quite a bit. So as emojis are really just text, we can just put an emoji in here and bump up the size of the font, and it comes in nice and crisp. It's a nice cheat, I suppose, to get images in here in nice high fidelity. I like it. And again, it's great for that responsiveness. We have that in here. Nice way to get our 5 steps in a row, which is nice. And then coming down the page, we have our emojis in here again. And in here, this is pretty nice, right? So this is our different levels. So we have our Amazon level, and you can see down in these areas in here that have to be unlocked. I've got a quick links web part, and behind that, I've got an unlock at level 1. And because I've audience targeted these quick link levels, when you've not been added to the security group to get you to that level, it means that you will only see the unlock at level 1, okay? Because this is a text web part hidden behind the quick links web part. So you'll see that when you're not in this group, but when you do have access to it, this web part actually sits on top of this text, effectively hiding it and giving you access to the level. I thought that was pretty nice. So that's in there. So that's kind of how this works. Fairly straightforward, fairly simple. So I really wouldn't have been able to pull this together without the latest enhancements to, with flexible sections, really. So that's been great. Also, the ability to quickly create themed templates with colors without having to use PowerShell all the time has been really great, really easy to get the sites looking the way I want. Try and push the branding through as much as I can, whether it's through the out of the box branding or through on the page elements, trying to keep it like that. So it's very much more of the same for the individual levels. We have flexible sections where we have images and web parts placed on top of each other to create this kind of a scene. Worked out quite well, and nothing else too fancy going on there. Similar with our Timewarp, again, text web part, image web parts on top. Similar stuff happening down here, and our button is always just, well, it's a quick link web part. The reason I chose a quick link web part over a button web part is that I can ask this to open in a new tab, because when you submit the form, you're kind of stuck on that screen. That would be something that would be nice to change if we could have a redirect after a submission at some stage. But the quick links web part allows me to open it in a new tab. So a way to kind of get past that issue. So that works nice in there. And then we have in here our Frontier level 3. Well, again, this was nice in that we got to use 2 lists in it, and this was a list web part and then lots of individual text web parts dotted around it to disguise, I suppose, that this is a list that filters the list below. So that's how that works. So that's my submission. I don't know if I met all the criteria, but hopefully you liked it either way. And it's a new innovative way that we can use SharePoint to create a cool experience. And I suppose you could call it a portal. It's just a challenge game portal. And obviously I'm getting this video out pretty quick, but I'll do a more in-depth video and put it on my YouTube channel, Academy 365, for anybody who wants a more in-depth look at how I built it, kind of step-by-step kind of a thing. That's the idea. That's the plan. Hope you like the submission. And yeah, I don't know. Let's see what happens. So yeah, see ya.